Well, hello there. Good morning. I'm at the range. It's a very quiet day so far. Hopefully, it will continue to be so. This is my Steyr Scout. This one's set up in 308. I believe these are 19-inch barrels. This color is mud, which I really like. I was looking for the gray, but when I bought this, there were no grays on the planet that were available. This gun is basically in the configuration that it would be for most of its proper usage. I think a lot of people have this misconception that this is a tactical rifle designed for tactical use, and it's not. It's primarily a hunting rifle. It's set up for hunting. For an optic possibly like this is the Primary Arms PLX C 1-8. It's very lightweight, it's got good glass. The 8X is a little lackluster, but it correlates with the concept of the Scout rifle, which is designed to be as lightweight and as handy and as usable in the field as possible. The 1X on this is better than what you can get on a forward-mounted, let's say 2.5X. If you want that little extra magnification, it's simply enough just going there, and now you have it. Still manage a very large field of view through this PLXC. It's got a really good 1X as far as true to life 1X, very small perimeter around the scope as far as the body goes, and it really does make the overall experience quite lovely. And it really does, again, stick with the true nature of the Scout rifle and the Scout concept that was set up by Jeff Cooper, eons ago. This rifle was designed in correlation with Jeff Cooper, but I'm sure you already know that. This is not the original spec for his rifle. The original spec for the rifle had a spoon handle bolt knob. This one has the newer, more tactical version, which is easier to grab. But you do have to worry a little bit about it clearing some rear housing, or in this case, some throw levers. As you can see at 8X, I don't know if you can hear me, but at 8X, it just clears the factory throw lever on the PLXC. So, got a little lucky on that one. Also, the original bolt had relief cuts on it to make it lighter. This one is a full-size bolt, completely round, single piece, beautifully machined, very, very smooth action on this thing. And it makes cycling an absolute joy. I really do enjoy running this thing, but I don't really enjoy shooting it because it is a very lightweight rifle. I don't know what the hell they're shooting over there, but it's large. It's a lovely gun to operate. It's not a very lovely gun to shoot. But again, this is designed to be slung on your shoulder. In fact, this is the primary support system for this rifle. Again, we're going to go over that very soon. But it's designed to be slung on your back or in a backpack, go for a very long hike, do some shooting, maybe take some game, and then come back, and that's basically it. It's not designed or set up for sustained fire. It's way too light for that. The barrel profile is very, very lightweight. You can see the relief cuts on there are fairly deep, and the barrel itself is a very narrow profile. So it's not going to take heat very well. And I've had some instances where you throw a couple of rounds down range in quick succession, and guess what? Your group opens up quite wildly. And I'm going to try to showcase that here today, because the concept that this is a tactical rifle is not the case. And I just want to go over it because as much as I love and adore this rifle, I never use it because it doesn't really fit any role I have. I'm not a hunter. If I was a hunter, absolutely. This would get set up with something similar to this, get zeroed for a certain load, and I'd go hunt with it. It'd be perfect for that. But I'm not a hunter. So it sits dormant, collecting dust. And as much as I would love to keep everything that I enjoy, that I like, I can't afford to do that, both space-wise and money-wise. So, without further ado, let's go over this rifle a little bit more in depth real quick before I start putting rounds down range, and give this thing a quick overview. If you're unfamiliar with this rifle, if you want a much more in-depth video, please go check out Ian McCollum's video on Forgotten Weapons about it. He goes over the actual Scout rifle with the spoon handle, bolt knob, and he does a better job than I ever could and is way more knowledgeable than I will ever be. But this is the rifle in its current configuration as it should be really intended. And it's very lightweight. The exact weight on this right now is probably like around 7.5 pounds. I'll weigh it when I get home. but it's very light. Balance point is right at the magazine. So very easy to shoulder the rifle quickly and shoot it. And if you use a quick sling, a ching sling like this, it makes life even easier. I really hope the audio is going to come out good on this because I don't want to have to redo this 3 times. As far as how it is to shoot, like I said already, I love operating this thing. The bolt is very slick, very fast. It is a 90-degree throw, but very, very smooth, extremely well machined, and it's a lovely joy to operate. The trigger on this thing is a 2-stage trigger. The first stage is a very light take-up. You hit this wall, and then it's a pretty nice break. It is a little mushy. It's not like you feel the trigger break through the finger. You hear the gun, you hear the bolt drop, as opposed to like really feel it, which I prefer feeling it in the trigger. But it is still really nice. It is adjustable. I have never adjusted this thing. I believe it breaks like around 3.5 to maybe 4 pounds. But I love the first stage, quick take up. You hit that wall, you know you're there, and then it's a nice, even, clean break. But again, I like it like a Tikka. Tikka single stages, those break really nice. And that might be foreshadowing, but I do really enjoy a 2-stage trigger. It makes my shooting experience just that much more enjoyable. And if you don't enjoy it, why do it? Correct. There are backup iron sights integrated. I have this scope set up in quick release rings because why would you have a scout rifle like this and not have them in QD rings? These are not Picatinny slots, these are Weaver slots. So you can't fit a Picatinny ring on this gun. You got to get something with a narrower footprint so it actually fits inside the slot. Backup iron sights on this. As you can see, the rear is a very small aperture. The front is a very wide blade, and it's not really ideal. It's not terrible. You could file that down if you want to. The front is adjustable for windage. The rear is elevation adjustable, so fully adjustable peep sights. But the rear is cheap plastic, and it feels like it's just going to snap off if you go to deploy it, so be mindful of that. But it's really cool to have in the event that your optic fails, or you name it. It's a real possibility that could happen. It's a nice option to have. The one thing with QD rings for this rifle is you got to make sure you really lock them down and push forwards this way they don't damage the actual receiver. Because if you damage the receiver, it's all basically one piece, and it's going to require going back into the Steyr to get repaired, because the barrel is also pressed into the receiver, which is completely aluminum, which is why it's so lightweight. Like this, it's like 5 pounds, 5 and change naked. And last thing you want to do is destroy this thing. And that's another thing. If, God forbid, something happens to the barrel, it gets dented, it gets hurt, you shoot it out, even though with a 308. Shooting out a barrel requires thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds. It's got to go to Steyr to get rebarreled, because I don't know if anyone can barrel a Steyr. I could be wrong on that. But the last time I checked, about 2-3 years ago, you can't really do it, or at least no one was capable of doing it other than the factory. With the optic back in place, I'm going to load up magazines, which are found in 2 locations on this gun. We have the primary magazine at the bottom, which, if you're unfamiliar, there are 2 sets of claws on either side, which lock into either the lower position. Come on. The lower position allows you to single feed a round through the ejection port without taking any rounds out of the magazine, and then you could push it up, and then you have 5 rounds on tap. Nice feature if you want to just sit here and plink, or if you're out in the field, yet again, which is where this gun is designed to be used super efficiently. Let's say you're taking longer range shots, or you want to not shoot out your mag, as far as maybe you have multiple targets, and maybe you're shooting hogs somewhere. If you could single load, take a couple of shots, maybe make a couple of hits, and then if you needed to in a hurry, like let's say they're moving fast, you load up the mag, you run the bolt, and you're good to go with 5 on tap. That is 1 magazine. The other spare magazine is in the rear. Again, the exact same 5-round capacity magazine. They fit front and rear. The reason why they probably went with 5-round magazines like this from the factory is because they wanted it to be flush fit. Because shooting this thing through a ching sling like this, or a Rhodesian sling, however you want to word it, or even just a standard two-point sling, I can get a really good purchase under the gun where the magazine is mostly protruding from. So if this was a 10-round magazine, you can't do this anywhere near as efficiently. So that's why they went with 5-round magazines to begin with. And it makes sense. This gun, again, was 100% designed to be a hunting gun first and foremost. But it's still a more practical gun because you can use it in so many different environments. Anywho, shooting it off a bag, you're gonna have a backpack probably in the field. You take it down, you prop it up. This is how you're gonna be shooting it. It does have a deployable bipod in the front, which I'm gonna attempt to shoot prone from later because this, as cool as it is and as nice as it is to have, it is very flimsy. And as you can see, shooting off the bench, it's way too high, but it does cant a little bit in the front. I think it's like 10, 15 degrees, which is really nice to have if you're on uneven surface. And yes, it's really, really nice to have it if you need it in a pinch, but it is less than ideal. It stows away very easily, and you're good to go. There is a rail, an accessory rail on the bottom. You can see it right there, where you could set up, if you wanted to, a bipod or other accessories, but I never did that because the gun was never intended for that sort of purpose. Sling, bag, you're good to go. As far as the sling, let's see if I can pull this out without destroying it. As far as the sling, you have QD attachments for your sling. They push in, twist, quarter turn, and you're good to go. These are fantastic. I think these are Uncle Mike's. You could buy the factory Steyr ones. They're very expensive, but Midway USA a long time ago, I think, like I said, I think these are Uncle Mike's. But you just look for that little tip. It's a little T, and they will fit. You push, you twist, you're good to go. You have one on the front, you have 2 on the sides by the magazine well, and you have 2 on the rear of the stock. So you have your tons of options of setting up a sling however you want. If you want to do a 2-point sling like this, or a 3-point sling if you so choose. Me, I have 2 of these. I have the same one on my Ruger American Ranch, and they both serve me extremely well. Really good sling. These are wilderness slings. This is the Ching sling. I think this is 1.25 inch webbing. Perfect size, not too big, not too heavy. I can wrap around it really well. It's still fairly comfortable, whether it's on the shoulder or when I'm using it and it's deployed. And it's just a good sling. I don't know what else to tell you. As far as the rest of the gun, there isn't a whole lot else to talk about. Here, out in the wild, we could do the rest on the bench. This is threaded, but it's a non-standard metric thread. And that sucks because if you want to just take, I don't know, a flash hider or a compensator or a muzzle brake and just throw it on the front, you can't. There are companies that make adapters. Steyr is one of them, and they can be ruthlessly expensive. I believe the one that I was going to buy, keyword going to buy, was about $100. So it's like you got to spend a lot of money for the gun, then spend a lot of money for the accessories, and then it's still not going to be as ideal as you'd like because, again, fairly thin, narrow barrel. I believe it's still part of most of this rail, so it's not fully free-floated, I think. But then you put a lot of weight on the front, and it's like, now you got to worry about throwing shots. So it is what it is, unfortunately. But this is it. Oh, that was what I wanted to talk about. The reason why I have a PLX-C on here now, even though I'm trying to do some target shooting, is because the full-length rail on top is a full-length rail. And if you've ever run into an issue like this on an AR, actually no, you'd never run into this issue on an AR because you have to run a high mount anyway for an AR because you have a flat, high comb. For me and how I get comfortable behind the gun as far as my overall cheek weld, I like a fairly intermediate cheek weld. Not too down where my cheekbone is wedged into the stock, but not a chin weld either. I like it where I have most of my cheek making contact with the stock and it's a comfortable enough position, especially for this style of gun where I want my head to be a little bit more upright so I can have a better sense of my peripheral vision and my overall understanding of what's going on downrange. But with these rings, I am limited to my front objective size. Max objective size I can run on this is about 40 millimeter. All of my stuff at home is 42 millimeter or larger, which sucks. Going with higher rings wasn't an option because then it's going to break my cheek weld to like here, and it's nowhere near as comfortable for me. So catch-22, it really does suck. Putting a rear I could put something on the stock to increase the overall cheek height, but then it looks a little goofy. I couldn't put anything with Velcro on it because I wouldn't be able to get to my rear mag. So it's just a shitty-ish setup. But again, it's designed for it to be a certain way. So if you want to run this with a larger front objective, let's say a 3-15, Razor LHT, second focal plane, which would be awesome on this gun because it's so lightweight and very capable. You can't do it without running much higher rings, and thus sort of breaks the cheek weld and makes, again, the overall experience less favorable. That's basically it. Let's get some rounds downrange with this thing. So I just confirmed that my zero's more or less where it needs to be. I did send the scope out to a viewer to sample and try out for a little bit. So the zero was off, but that's, perfectly fine. That's the way it is. I only have 2 types of ammunition for this because my supply for 308s runs so low because I don't shoot it anywhere near enough. And with prices being the way they were, I didn't really invest that much in extra stock. Again, I haven't shot this thing, really shot it in years. So I have some MagTech 308. This is 168 grain 308. Good stuff. I was buying this pre-COVID for 50 cents a round. And I thought it was expensive then. The next is going to be what I'm actually going to shoot first, which is some German surplus. I can't remember the name of this stuff because I don't speak German, but it's SIG 58. This is good stuff. And if I remember correctly, this gun shoots it well enough to have it be a contender. The whole point of the Scout rifle was to have a gun that could shoot any type of ammunition good enough. Because you might be in a part of the world where, let's say your ammunition that was in your kit goes missing, you shoot it all, doesn't work, whatever the case may be, you can go into anywhere in the world, get some ammunition, and use it in your gun. This, however, does get a little bit stuck in the chamber. The extraction on this sometimes gets a little wonky, especially as it starts to heat up. So you might see some bolt sticking issues with this ammunition, but again, it's just the way it is sometimes. I got 5 rounds in the mag. I'm going to take 2, and I'm going to single load them to show you what that process is like. I'm recording this through my recording rig, so this way you guys can see what my group looks like downrange. It's going to be offset in the corner. First claws are engaged. Take the round, simply drop it on top. You got to make sure that the round is either fully back or fully forward, because if it's somewhere in between, it might nose down when you start to chamber it. But like so, simple enough. Let's get on target. Target number 11. Despite the fact that this optic goes to 8, I'm going to keep it at 6, so this way I don't have to worry about jamming my thumb into the cattail on it. And I don't need much more than that for decent groups anyway. So I'm going to hold on the center dot and see where she lands. A little right, but that's fine. Yep, there it is. You see? I didn't strip another round off the top because I forgot that I didn't have the magazine all the way in. Second round, we'll place it on top, and if you're not careful, it'll nose down and lock up on you. So if we push it all the way back, we're good to go. Bit of a flyer, either the first one was or that one. Now I'm just going to close the magazine by pushing it up. Strips very easily out of these magazines. Split the difference. Not bad. Yep, those are basically stacking now, despite the fact the barrel is getting hot. So the windage is probably me, but you can see the bolt is getting really stuck now. And again, it's just this ammunition. But I got 1 round left of this before we change over to the MagTech. Cattail really sucks on this thing as far as positioning goes, but c'est la vie. It's like a 2.5, 3-inch group, if I had to take a guess. Not the best ammunition, perfectly fine. Most of that's windage, probably me, probably the gun bouncing off the bag, but that's just how this thing is. This is not a precision rifle, even though it can shoot very tight groups. So, that barrel right now is way too hot to touch. This is probably the maximum amount of rounds I'd want to put through it in that sort of cadence before I'm just going to start to worry about really starting to throw shots. The actual handguard itself up here, or the top part of the rail rather, works as a heat sink. So this is very hot up here, trying to extract heat from the barrel. So this way it tries not to get distorted and warp. But this barrel, that's really, really hot. That was only 7 rounds. So could you imagine putting 10 rounds through this thing in a match style environment like I wanted to do at brutality matches? I would have probably destroyed the barrel. So I'm glad I didn't run this gun in particular. I'm gonna let this cool off for a couple minutes because I have to. I'm gonna load up the MagTech and I'm gonna see what 168 grain does through this gun. And we're back. It's been about 5 minutes. It's not a very hot day out here, so you'd think the barrel would cool off quickly. It's still too hot to touch. Fantastic. Got 5 rounds loaded up of the MagTech. I made a slight adjustment to my windage. I brought it over 3/10 to the left, and we're gonna see how that works. Gonna put 1 round down to see exactly where this hits, and I'll just hold there. I'm gonna aim at one of the smaller red circles. I'm sure I'm gonna have an elevation difference between this ammunition and the last, and we'll see what happens. Another cool feature I forgot to showcase, this is a 3-position safety. You have fire, you have safe, and then you have locked safe. So this way it doesn't accidentally roll forward and go unsafe. You have to depress this button and push forward. But one of the cool features is, let's say you have this on your back, you want to leave it hot, and you want it to be as little of a snag potential as possible. You put it into, I'm not going to flag the line, you put it into full safe, you take the bolt, you push the bolt down. Now the bolt knob is actually locked closer to the stock. They really did go above and beyond when they engineered and designed this thing. It's a really cool feature. One that I have no real use for, but it's really cool when you take it off safe and it pops out like that. So, little party trick for all you Steyr Scout fans out there that I like to showcase. Alrighty, I am rolling 1, I am rolling 2. I'm on the bag. I want to aim for that red dot at 10 o'clock, 10:30. Not too bad. You can see the MagTech already cycles a lot easier. It hits a little bit harder in the shoulder. Yes, I'm a bitch and I can't handle recoil. I need to be a man. I flinched a little bit. That's all me. I won't do that again, I promise. Not bad. A little bit over an inch, I'd say. Cycles very smooth. There's no problems with the chamber. Beautiful. Split the difference. I'm getting some heat mirage coming off the barrel. Excellent. Stack that last one. Yep, that's a beautiful showcase of what this rifle is truly capable of accuracy-wise. And I'm only at an indicated 6x on the scope. Yeah, I'd say with the exception of that one that dropped a little high and right, which was my first shot, that's about an inch group, give or take. That is average grouping out of this gun that I've had since I've owned it. Since I bought it, and I've owned this thing for like 6 or 7 years. But again, right now that barrel's so hot, I dare not get close to it. And again, it's a little abusive. It hits you. It hits you pretty hard. Again, it's so light. But again, it's designed to be like this. This is not a tactical rifle. This is a hunting rifle that looks tactical. And it is really, really cool. I love pulling this thing out. I always get confidence at the range from it. And it is something that gives me joy, but I just don't enjoy shooting it all that much. I don't like the grip angle. I wish it was a little, just like a touch more would be perfect. I wish I can go with a little bit higher rings without having to put add-ons with this. That's just me. That's just me and who I am and how I like to be, but it's not ideal for what I'd like to use this thing for. And I would like to start getting into more precision matches, but this is not the rifle to take into that. And the next rifle I'm probably going to end up looking to replace this might be able to do most of what this gun can do, but much more of what I'm trying to get out of it. So maybe we'll see, maybe I'll do a video on that if and when I get one, but I love this thing. It's so cool. It takes me back to Counter-Strike 1.5 days, and that's why I bought it. In fact, Counter-Strike is what really got me into guns right out of high school. And I've always fancied the Scout. That's why this is here before you today. I'm going to clean up over here. I'm going to go farther down range. There's a nice gong at 200 yards. I think it's about a 10 or 12 inch gong. I'm going to try to take shots from that seated and standing using the Ching Sling to see if it's actually feasible. So, stay tuned for that. Shooting from off positions is something that I like to try to practice. I'm not very good at it, but that's why you practice, so you become better at it. Got a gong at 200 yards, around a 10 or 12 inch plate. I haven't really milled it out properly, but maybe I'll do it with this video because my camera rig is mostly set up where it needs to be. I am shooting the surplus ammunition, and the reason for that is I need to save my MagTech for my potential probable next 308. Why 308, you might be asking? You could still find fairly inexpensive ball ammunition. I don't reload. I plan on shooting a lot, especially when it comes to matches where if you're running an intermediate cartridge like 5.56, you got to make 2 hits as opposed to a battle rifle cartridge like 308, only 1 hit. And for a bolt gun with a 10-round capacity magazine, that makes a huge difference. Plus, I got access to, not access, but I want to start setting up precision matches out at 600 yards at this other range that I've just become, aware of. And talking to the range director over there, I talked to him really briefly about, I would love to set up some matches out here. He was all for it. And I want to run that same mantra. It would be a sniper challenge. Intermediate cartridge required 2 hits, battle cartridges 1 hit, and see how that plays out. Anyway, I have the magazine fully loaded to 5 rounds, inserted to the first lock. Got 2 rounds here, which I will be using. I'm going to try this in the seated position, using the sling, elbow on knee. I'm already shaking because I haven't eaten. It's almost 12 o'clock. I'm on a cup and a half of coffee, and I've probably put about 20-something rounds to this thing today. So, all the excuses to not be able to make any hits. 7 rounds, I've already confirmed. It's on enough to make a hit from this position. Proof positive, ladies and gentlemen. So, I'm going to try to make 7 hits, obviously. This is not a very far target. If you're hunting with 308, 200 yards is probably the max that most people would want to take an animal with. So this is the perfect case scenario, or at least this is the best that I can really offer up for all of you out there for your entertainment or for your genuine questions. Anywho, I'm going to load up around through the ejection port, put it on full safe, lock the bolt down because I can. Why the hell not? The Rhodesian sling or the Ching sling, however you want to word it, is great. Multi-setup. You could adjust overall length. You could adjust how big the hoop is. For me, high and tight. You can see I'm fairly stable with the gun. In fact, it might be a little bit too tight for this position, but coming down to the knee, it fits a lot better. And I could always just jog it down just a touch. Or I could have it just sling to the elbow like it's going to do because I'm wearing a jacket that is slick. All right, indicated 5X. No, let's go 4X. 4X is fine. People think you need so much magnification to make longer range shots. And I don't think that's the case. Let's see how this runs. I think that went over the top. Ammunition is already getting stuck. This is not looking good for me, but I'm a hack fraud anyway, so. Wow. I know I made it hit. Made the hit earlier. This is the problem with that ammunition. It really gets stuck in the chamber. There we go. Aim a little high. Really making this gun look like crap with these sticky rounds. All right, so 1 for 4. It's horrible. There we go. I got to hold a little left and a little extra high. I'm rushing these shots. I'm going to try to make the last one count.
Nobody's doing anything with the wood yet, right? Okay, that's my thing.
Less than stellar, but this is why we practice. I haven't gotten in this position in a long time. The ammunition is not ideal for this gun as far as overall grouping, but it grouped well enough at 100 to be able to hit that target repeatedly if I knew exactly where I had to hold. But I didn't get my dope properly set up. I was probably holding still about mil too low. It happens. These are the things that we must find out in our own way, shape, and form. For me, it is totally failing on camera in front of all of you, but at least I got something. Trying to give myself a little bit of appreciation, but the barrel was still pissing hot when I started this. Yep, I don't want to touch that any longer than what I just did. It is ridiculously hot. But that's it. This is how the gun was designed to be used. In positions like this, in positions on the bench, you off a bag, use the sling, and just enjoy it. Good gun, great gun, but it's a hunting gun. My shoulder absolutely feels this, and I bet you will too. Back in my living room for a final clause on this rifle. It is clear, it is safe, there's no ammunition in the gun, so I can close the bolt. I just weighed this. As this is configured, everything you see at minus ammunition, it is 7 pounds, 6 ounces. That is very, very lightweight. Again, this is definitely directed much more as a hunting rifle as opposed to a tactical rifle. It looks very tactical. It's got a lot of really cool features. It's got a really nice color, and it's not what you traditionally see as a hunting rifle. But nothing's really traditional anymore in any real sense. Everything is just sort of like a hybrid crossover thingamabob. But to make this live as far as how lightweight it is, my Ruger American Ranch, in its current configuration, is just shy of 10 pounds. This is 9 pounds and 12 ounces. With a sling, this is a 10-pound gun. So this is basically 3 pounds heavier than this. So this isn't really that heavy, and this is 3 pounds lighter. Really makes you realize just how lightweight this is. I wish you guys could feel this in camera, because it's just like, yeah, sling it on your back, take it in the mountains, shoot it all day long, and you never have to worry about it. Like I've said numerous times throughout this video, it's already too long. I love this gun. It does everything it's designed to do basically perfectly. But I just don't have a true need for it anymore. I unfortunately do not have the luxury of a lot of space or a lot of money. And if I want to get something nowadays, I have to replace something I currently have with what I want or with what I need. This is not something that I need. It's something that I want, but the other gun that I want to get, which is probably going to become a reality very soon, is something that I both want and kind of need. I've given myself a need for it. And selling this with my seven magazines that I have for it should be enough to purchase the new rifle and get that sort of fitted out exactly where I want it. So hopefully that'll be happening very soon. But I love this gun. But it sucks just having it sit in my safe collecting dust. I'd rather this go to someone that's actually going to use it. Again, if I was hunting hogs, this is the exact rifle I would use. And I'd probably change the optic to like a 1:4, 1:6, because I don't need a 1:8 on this thing. This though is a phenomenal gun, and if you want exactly what this gun has to offer, you will not be disappointed, I guarantee you. Anywho, thank you all very much for watching, and as always, see you again next time. And a huge thank you to my Patreon providers and my Steyr subscribers. Without you, this truly wouldn't be possible. If you'd like to support my channel but don't want to join either of those, I completely understand. But you could still help by using my affiliate links in the description below, and or like, share, and subscribe as always. Again, thank you very much.